So, this is a thing. In the last video on this YouTube channel, we went over some very intriguing things that the NHL has presented to us as storylines in this season's worth of play. If you hadn't seen that video, then go ahead and check it out. It goes over a whole bunch of really great ideas that just sort of seem like a big blast to the past. But in today's video, or not today's video, they're all from today's videos, but in this video in particular, we're going over back and focusing on the Vancouver Canucks specifically. Because, with all the stats that everybody is tossing out there, the fact that the Vancouver Canucks are first in the NHL in points with the tiebreaker, they're one of the best teams in the NHL, their rush offense, their rush defense, it's all been great this season, the goaltending, the save percentages, the points for Miller, Petey, and Hughes, the goals for Besser, everybody's talking about these stats that define how good the Vancouver Canucks have been. And they've been good. Don't get me wrong, it's been amazing. But when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks' most underrated stats that you could go out there and pull, sure, some of the other ones pop out there. I mean, I mentioned the goals against on the rush. That's one of the weird ones that has been tossed around the past few hours here. But what I wanted to do was go over onto Chris Faber's Twitter account and read one of the craziest, most surprising stats out there that's available to us all in the Lower Mainland. Now again, big shout out over to Chris Faber. He works for the Canucks now. He's no longer a Canucks Conversation podcaster, nor a Sportsnet beat reporter. He does Canucks work. He writes for the team, which is awesome. I remember chatting with him a few times on the Canucks Conversation podcast. He had me on as a guest back in, I want to say it was 2019? Yeah, it was around then. But he posted this tweet after the Canucks game last night regarding defenseman pair Tyler Myers and Nikita Zadorov. They both are in the top 10 for goals against per 60 minutes since the Zadorov trade. Attached is a graph of one of the websites here with the advanced analytics showcasing the best players in the NHL since the date of the Zadorov trade, sorted by goals against per 60. Now, goals against per 60 is just pretty much self-explanatory. When you're on the ice every 60 minutes, how many goals are scored against you, and the math is averaged out. So you see that Brian Dumoulin is the best player in the NHL when it comes to this metric. Every 60 minutes that he plays, there is about 0.48 goals against on the Seattle Kraken. You want this number to be lower. If it's higher, then it's a pretty bad thing. But from Dumoulin, you go to Ekblad, you go to Riker Evans, Middleton, Forsling, former Canuck Forsling, there you go, Sean Walker, Matt Dumba in Arizona, and then number 8 and number 9 are Tyler Myers and Nikita Zadorov. They've played around 140-ish minutes of time on ice in the games after the Zadorov trade, and they've only allowed 0.82 and 0.84 goals against per 60 minutes in that span. Tyler Myers and Nikita Zadorov have been good. And if you look at the other replies, this is what AJ goes out there and asks, what's the expected goals against? And that's a really great question, because the stat that we're looking at initially, goals against per 60, is just how many goals against were scored, right? Like every 60 minutes, what's the number there? But expected goals against per 60 is a little bit different, because sure, while you may not be on the ice for a goal against, if there's a prime grade A scoring chance that the other team gets while you're on the ice, then that's not a good thing either. Even if it doesn't go in, it's still not good that the chance happened. And for expected goals against, Tyler Myers is 32nd in the NHL, Nikita Zadorov is 16th. And hey, don't get me wrong, 32nd and 16th is not top 8 in the NHL like the raw hard goals against numbers are, but it's still really good. Tyler Myers being the 32nd best player in the NHL for expected goals against per 60 ever since the Zadorov trade means that he would technically be a number 1 player on some NHL teams if you map everything out. I mean, 32nd, overall, there's 32 teams in the league, right? So it works out that way. Nikita Zadorov being half of that at 16th overall in the NHL is good too. For some reason, this pairing of Myers and Zadorov has been actually fine, even though both of these guys play games that are very similar to each other and are equally chaotic nonetheless. Even in last night's game, Nikita Zadorov had some plays where he would find himself with the puck at the blue line, the offensive blue line, and then just kind of squeak down the boards, force it around the net, and then pop out the other side before making a pass. There were a few moments in the offensive zone that were kind of shaky, where Tyler Myers had to retract and get the puck back at the Stars' blue line and then send it back in, albeit in a very dangerous way. Like, these guys play such a chaotic game that it's odd to see how they complement each other so well. It's almost like the chaos balances itself out. Like, one cancels out the other, you know? The left chaos balances out with the right chaos, and you have harmony at the end. It is interesting to note that they are the only Canucks defensemen to pop up on this list because, of course, we can all recognize that, you know, Ian Cole is probably a more stable option. Noah Juleson is a shot blocker. Carson Soucy hasn't been playing, so he's not going to be on this list. Philip Hronek and Quinn Hughes are offensive producers, but when it comes to just pure goals against and expected goals against metrics, so how well opposition are getting chances on the Canucks when these guys are on, Myers and Zadorov have been, quite literally, the big bad shutdown pairing. And that's crazy. Now, in any way, does this justify Tyler Myers making $6 million a year? No, it does not. While this stint has been a good one, it has just been that, a stint, ever since Zadorov was acquired, which was, when was it, like a month ago? Maybe a few weeks ago, something like that. My timelines are all messed up internally, my sense of progression is not really there. But it's been a short stint. And sure, even if he continues playing like this, he is still as good and defensively capable as he's been. That price tag is going to be very difficult to go out there and match or even beat. Nikita Zadorov, on the other hand, making the amount of money that he has been making, it's pretty okay considering that he technically has been a better defenseman than Myers, and he's making only $3.75 mil against the Canucks cap. That's like almost half the amount of dollars that the Canucks have to give out for Nikita Zadorov. But the problem is, of course, they have to re-sign this guy, which is going to be interesting because it's Dan Milstein, the agent, going out there and needing to get this contract negotiation done on behalf of him, so we'll see where exactly this pairing goes. I think people are calling it the Twin Tower pairings. Now that I say that, I'm very intrigued as to whether or not I could fit some Twin Towers into the thumbnail, but no, we're not going to do that. That's like Instagram meme culture type stuff. We're not going to do that. Don't worry. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about it now. That'd be a great idea, but I feel like it'd be very insensitive. But either way, the Twin Towers pairing of Tyler Myers and Nikita Zadorov has been apparently very good the past few games. And it's to the point that they are one of the best shutdown defenseman pairings in the NHL. Does the eye test match that? I don't know, you can be the judge. In my personal opinion, I'd say that they have their gaffes, they have their moments, they have their fumbles, they have their embarrassing plays at the blue line and in the Canucks zone. But for the most part, I mean, Nikita Zadorov is a physical guy. He's hitting players, so at least there's an element of chaos that Tyler Myers doesn't have. And Tyler Myers, you know, turnovers and the slow play, these things are being combated with the lesser playing time, so he's not as tired and he's more mentally sharp, especially with another big dude as his line mate like Nikita Zadorov. It's actually working out pretty well. I didn't really think they'd be this good, but I guess they are, right? So again, big shout-outs over to Chris Faber for posting the tweet and getting this conversation going. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you're a Canucks fan. What are your thoughts on the Nikita Zadorov and Tyler Myers pairing? How have they fared so far in your eyes, and do you think that the eye test matches these advanced analytics on paper? They are one of the best pairings in the entire NHL, along with, let's just go out there and look. Brian Dumoulin and Riker Evans are out there. Gustav Forsling and Aaron Ekblad. You've got no other pairings. Philadelphia, Arizona, Toronto. Yeah, so they're good, aren't they? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.